Rahul Gandhi says that in a Nafrat ka bazaar, a market of hate, he is setting up a shop for love, a shop for mohabbat. I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo Story. Our focus today continues on the Bharat Jodo Yatra that has now entered the capital and will culminate at the Red Fort via Rajghat. Now, there are many, many debates that this yatra has triggered. What is its aim? What is the way to measure its success? Is it to rev up the morale of the Congress party? Is the success only electoral? Does Rahul Gandhi still believe that power is poison? And the debate continues. But there's no question that the Bharat Jodo Yatra has become a talking point, and some might say that in itself is an achievement for a politician that was long caricatured as a pappu by the BJP. On the program today, we'll be decoding the Yatra, looking at its semiotics, looking at where Brand Rahul and where Brand Congress stand today, and asking the fundamental question: has the Yatra managed to work towards jodoing the Congress? That, of course, has to be the aim of a major political party. There were many, many dramatic images from the Yatra today that were making their own ideological statement. Rahul Gandhi shared a photograph with his mother. He said he is spreading the love across the country that he's received from her. He made it a point to offer prayers at a temple, but also to ask for duas at a dargah. And that in itself was making its own ideological statement. But are there electoral takers for those statements? Isn't that the key way to measure the success or the lack of success of this yatra? Let me introduce our very special panel today as we look at Rahul Gandhi's yatra here in the national capital. Dilip Cherian, who I think is the country's foremost expert on branding, is with us. And where does Brand Rahul and Brand Congress stand today? We'll ask him that. Joining us from the BJP is Vineeta Hariharan, the party spokesperson and leader from Kerala. It's good to see you, Vineeta. Also joining us from the Congress party today is Aiyshwarya Mahadev, spokeswoman for the party. Also joining us is Sandip Ghose, a trenchant commentator, columnist, describes himself often as a supporter of the Prime Minister, but not necessarily always of the BJP. How is he seeing the Yatra today? And finally, Sanjay Jha. I never know how to introduce Sanjay, a lapsed Congress spokesperson, sacked Congress spokesperson, not a Congress spokesperson, but still a Congress supporter, a Congress well-wisher, though he's often been a Congress critic as well. All right, let me set the ball rolling by playing out for you how Rahul Gandhi has framed his yatra today in the capital in the context of nafrat and mohabbat. Listen in.
बीजेपी और आरएसएस नफरत की बाजार, कांग्रेस मोहब्बत की दुकान उसी नफरत की बाजार में। तो नरेंद्र मोदी जी अपने संगठन को समझ लिए, नफरत, हिंसा और डर जो आरएसएस और बीजेपी के लोग फैलाते हैं, उसको नरेंद्र मोदी जी समझ गए। मगर कांग्रेस पार्टी को, कांग्रेस की सोच को, कांग्रेस की विचारधारा को नरेंद्र मोदी नहीं समझ पाए, क्योंकि इस देश से मोहब्बत को कोई भी नहीं मिटा सकता। वो नफरत फैलाते हैं, हम मोहब्बत फैलाते हैं। वो हिंसा करते हैं, वो हिंसा फैलाते हैं, हम अहिंसा फैलाते हैं। वो डरते हैं, हम नहीं डरते हैं।
All right, let me start with Dilip Cherian and Sandeep Ghosh before I actually come to the politicians. Dilip, here's the point: either Rahul Gandhi is channeling his inner Shah Rukh Khan, and it's effective, or this is motherhood in apple pie to locate politics within the framework of love and hate. Some people might love it, some people might say, "Hey, what's this about? Let's talk about elections." How do you see it?
I think that the Bharat Jodo Yatra is very clearly a effective branding exercise for the fact that there is a new kind of politics that Rahul Gandhi is espousing. Is it electoral politics of the conventional kind? No, it is not. Is it the tool for the Congress party to revive itself? It partially is. Because if you see the kind of cadres that it is activating, and the kind of numbers of people who are not in active politics who are also joining, I think there's a message here. But the biggest message, I think, is that Rahul Gandhi is probably helping the Congress and himself to shed a lot of the hugely powerful and expensive anti-branding which went into making him what he is, what people had begun to call him. That word is no longer in use, and that, I think, is a huge exercise which he has achieved.
So
Today the villager, yeah,
you're saying it's the end of the Pappu caricature.
I think unless he stumbles along the way, unless he makes mistakes and there's still days left, this is probably the inflection point from where he does not have to battle those images. What image he has created now is best, in a sense, enunciated by people who say that a panchayat official's son today does not come to visit them except in a Pajero or in a Jeep. And here is a man who's actually walking to them, walking with them, making them walk with him, etc. So I think the nuancing is different, and that is the changed brand Rahul, which is visible now. The
Very
love,
interesting.
the love aspect, I'm not so sure about, but this is what has changed.
Okay, let me take this to Sandeep Ghosh. Sandeep, as someone who's not been an admirer of Rahul Gandhi, do you see any difference in your own assessment of him? Because I often feel that, reimagined brands are best tested not by the approval of those who like them anyway, but whether there's been any shift, any concession from those who were critics, who were left cold. Are you still left as cold, Sandeep?
See, Barkha, cold or not will be decided later, and not by the metrics of politics, metrics of what you are saying in terms of what is the final image he comes, to turn on its head a popular advertising or a marketing point, which attributed to Lord Leverhulme, who said that 50% of all advertising is wasted, but only problem is we don't know which 50 is wasted and which 50 works. So when you're doing an exercise like this, which 50% is working and which 50% ain't, we'll only get to know later. I personally don't have any problem if this is not going to fetch him votes. As you said, if it manages to reposition him, to revive the party or even reposition the party and get new energy flowing into it, I think it would have more than done its job. So first, let's focus on what's been working. I think one thing he has done is state the course. He has stuck to the script, which was either coined for him or he himself wrote throughout in these 100 days, which not many people thought he was capable of. I think there has been a remarkable consistency, which he has displayed, despite whatever people may have found false or tried to critique. Now, what comes out of this will depend essentially on the follow-through action. The follow-through both on his part as well as the party's part. There are obviously contradictions in this. One hand, he talks of love. The other hand, he goes on, criticizing Savarkar, RSS, Modi, and the rest of it. So it's not very political what he is doing. That itself is a contradiction, but fair enough. That's part of the whole deal. Now, how he follows it through, does it really, translate into a new Rahul Gandhi in whatever form, leading Congress, whether from the sidelines, from a distance, or from a position of a mentor or directly, and how the party capitalizes on this. So far, a lot of the following which you're seeing is partly sycophantic, because people, they want to display their closeness to him, and they want to, so they're doing a bit of that. Now, when they go back, whether the same, both the human resources, whether people have applied that, and also monetary resources, whether that is deployed will depend.
So are you saying, before I go to Vineeta, that it's an open question? We simply do not know yet what this yatra is going to result in, but you're giving some points for consistency. Sandeep,
See,
quickly.
consistency. And then what I'm saying is, you see, what he is trying, in my view, is a bit of what the Arvind Kejriwal, IAC movement and all that he did, turn a political thing where you mobilize sentiment later into political gain.
That's a very
Now,
interesting point. And can I just jump in there to say that the one difference between Rahul Gandhi and Arvind Kejriwal is that Mr. Kejriwal ducks any ideological confrontation with the BJP. He tries to keep the conversation very much on schools, on governance. He embraces a certain amount of soft Hindutva. Mr. Gandhi is doing something very different here. Vineeta, let
but
me bring you in.
now,
Sorry.
Barkha, before you move in, I think that what Kejriwal is doing is now, Kejriwal is very astute. He goes on shifting his goalposts or his position on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So Rahul Gandhi may also do it going forward. Kejriwal has found it does not work for himself to be positioned as an extreme left liberal over there, and certainly not anti-Hindu. So that's a position he has taken now. Rahul
Okay.
Gandhi is not yet up to that. He is yet to cross that bridge.
Or rather maybe he's consciously choosing a certain kind of ideological binary. And is that smart? Is that stupid? Is that something in between? We don't know. Vineeta Hariharan of the BJP, let me bring you in. The BJP, as you heard both Dilip and Sandip say, has long caricatured Rahul Gandhi as a pappu. It's dismissed the Congress party. Today, is the BJP willing to acknowledge Rahul Gandhi as a worthy competitor, as a worthy adversary?
Absolutely not, Barkha. Just a Bharat Jodo Yatra, which has served nothing but optics, as the brand gurus have also kind of validated. Yeah, it's optics, but it's spurts and bursts, and it's not really, it's not followed through by action on the ground, like Sandeep just mentioned. And we've seen how the edifice is completely crumbling in the party itself. We've had luminaries leaving the parties. We've had Ghulam Nabi Azad. We've had Scindia, the likes of the meritorious and the meritocratic. The youth and the old alike have left the party, and we've not seen merit being given due regard in the party. Like we have Sachin Pilot, who's completely claustrophobic in the party and who's struggling for power. So what is being shown on the ground is not really followed up or followed through, and just a Bharat Jodo Yatra, which is more of displaying the family ties, so to speak, is not really serving the purpose for the larger public. And the kind of following that we see in this yatra is all the party cadres who are joining him. And there's no consistent theme in the
And yet,
whole
but
Jodo Yatra.
you've had some public figures, Kamal Hassan today joining the walk. I think we have those images there. There's Mr. Hassan, Raghuram Rajan earlier, actors like Pooja Bhatt. So it has been a little more than party cadre.
So yeah, so it's those are all glamorous, entries. And Kamal Hassan, which with all due regard to him, he's a great actor. I love his acting, but he's not proved his mettle in politics or nor in his public service. So the kind of people whom he's joining hands with, I think it's only being counterproductive for him. And the entire dialogue with Raghuram Rajan. I mean, I respect Raghuram Rajan a lot, but then the dialogue that he had with the fireside chat, so to speak, in Rajasthan was about the NSME sector, and never before has NSME been given so much thrust as it has
Right.
been in the last decade by this government.
Okay, so you think it's all an imaging exercise, and Aiyshwarya, some might say that in that Rahul Gandhi has actually borrowed from the Prime Minister's playbook. The master of the image, the master of political communication, I would say even today, is Prime Minister Modi. But when it comes down to real benchmarks, how do you as a congresswoman measure the success or failure of this yatra? What would make it a success for you?
Good evening, Barkha. I think first and foremost, I'd like to emphatically disagree when you talk about it being just optics, because the yatra went through my state. It went through Karnataka as well. I was closely involved with walking all the way from Gundlapet to Bellary and Raichur. And the sort of response that we saw, whether you admit that there are Congress cadres coming in, the sort of mass outpouring of public people coming in from Bangalore and people not on the route, the way that they came just to walk with him and the way that he spoke to them, whether it was the interest group, groups, whether it was, the exercise of meeting, whether the oxygen tragedy, the families of the oxygen tragedy in Chamrajnagar, the Khadi weavers of Badanwadu, you saw Bellari and in Tumkur, everywhere. You saw interest groups coming out and speaking to the PCC saying, we would like to talk to Mr. Gandhi. This was not orchestrated. We didn't bring people in. And the manner in which they found that they had somebody listening to them, that they found a forum or a platform that was not a studio set up in a teleprompter like situation, was something that not only endeared him further to the masses, but the sort of response. I had a wonderful interaction with Mr. Gandhi, and it was not one thing where he was proselytizing or he was talking or telling us what to do. Rather, he listened. Even if he did
Okay.
not understand, he had translators across. He sat and he listened, and he said the intention of this is not political. This is, otherwise we could have done a yatra in Gujarat, we could have done it in Himachal, we could have focused only on Karnataka. The
So that,
purpose for him
yeah.
was, Barkha, if I may complete, the purpose for him in the yatra was to walk through and understand the problems and the situations of people from different walks of life. And I think that, whether you like it or not, how you want to brand it, how you call it as a PR exercise, I think in essence it was one of the most sincere forms of reaching out to the masses of this country that has not been done in ages, in fact, Barkha. And I, as a congresswoman, I'm further heartened, further emboldened being in this party, because I see a leader there that gave every single leader, minister, former chief minister, youngsters like me, an equal plank and an opportunity to interact and understand
Let
what he was thinking.
Let me come in now to Sanjay Jha. And Sanjay, I have some difficult questions for you. Difficult because you have previously argued for Priyanka Gandhi Vadra being the better future for the Congress than her brother. One. Two, you have previously batted for a Shashi Tharoor to lead the party. Mr. Tharoor, ever since he contested, and this is a well known secret, has been pretty much shafted and left out of the party. It's not that it's not that that democratic exercise was encouraged and Shashi is kind of back in the thick of things. I think everyone who's tracking this knows that he's been shafted. How do you look at both, given both of these positions of yours, the backing for Tharoor, the backing for Priyanka? How do you today locate the Yatra and the effect it might be having internally within the Congress, but also externally?
Well, Barkha, first and foremost, I'm happier with a Kamal Hassan and a Pooja Bhatt over an Akshay Kumar and a certain Miss Ranautt, with due respects to
But that's
Dilip.
subjective. That's
Yeah,
subjective.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
just subjective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's
Yeah.
that's a point I do wish to make.
Okay.
Uh, the,
All right.
the the significant thing is that I think this yatra is extraordinary. How many individuals, forget politicians, can really do a Bharat Yatra, and I think kind of claim that it was nothing but a cosmetic or a synthetic political experiment or a social cause. I think at the end of the day, it calls for a great courage of conviction to do that. Now, as you rightly said, I have been critical of Rahul Gandhi's leadership of the Congress, but I've never faulted him for taking a very categorical ideological stance. Now let's really call it out. I mean, I don't think a program of yours needs to be pussyfooting around and playing politically correct statements. I believe the BJP is destroying India, is destroying India's secular democracy. It's a threat to the Indian constitution. And let me tell you what is a manifestation of that. When Amit Shah goes on a campaign in Gujarat and talks about teaching a lesson in 2002 riots, I just wonder, how can all of us adults, I mean, no matter what our political sensibilities may be, can assume that that was only said as a hollow rhetoric during an election campaign? That was, in my mind, a brazen threat to 200 million Muslims in this country
I mean,
that this
the
government
BJP
means
did,
business.
BJP did say those comments were misquoted, and he was talking about dealing with rioters,
Oh,
rioters with a firm hand.
Well, Barkha, you covered those riots. I think we all know what Mr. Shah was up to. When the Bilkis Banu rapists are released, and forget the Supreme Court verdict, which is yet to come, I think the Prime Minister's silence in an eloquent statement on the way one looks at not just women, but women from the
But
minority sector
your
this
answer
country.
has been ideological. You didn't answer my question. Do you today believe that Rahul is better suited than his sister to lead the party because you've been an advocate for the sister to take charge instead of the brother?
Well, let me answer this here. Firstly, I think Rahul Gandhi's political brand is resurrected. And if the BJP were to today call him Papu, I'm going to say with confidence on your show, it will boomerang against the BJP. You can't ridicule a man who I think has now got respect from people who were earlier his critics, because Rahul's public utterances were very often questioned as being inconsistent and sometimes incongruous. And I would largely blame it on BJP's fake, malicious,
Okay.
malignant propaganda machine. Now, let me answer your question. I still maintain, Barkha, that although Rahul Gandhi now has, I think, become a center stage that the BJP or the country cannot ignore any further, the trick lies in what Sandip mentioned, and I think what I think even Dilip mentioned, is to try and convert this into an electoral calculus. And the Congress needs to do that with some kind of a ruthless efficiency. Now, let me tell you, you said I was critical of Mr. Kharge and supported Dr. Shashi Tharoor. Absolutely. But I also want to tell you this. That's what politics is all about. If you listen to Mallikarjun Kharge of late, he's showing the kind of belligerence, that taking you head-on approach of, pardon, the use of certain words, etc. But I think he's making a message very clear.
Well,
that,
it's a good.
that
Can I
it's a battle is on.
Can I jump in there? Because some would say that Mr. Kharge's comments, whether it's using the word Ravan in the context of the Prime Minister, recently talking about dogs, in the context of the BJP, all of this history shows us, political history, I mean, Dilip, that every time this has happened, it has actually benefited the BJP. Sanjay Jha says it's a belligerence he didn't expect of Mr. Kharge. He's surprised. Is it politically effective?
It's, to my mind and in my experience in the last 10 years, not very useful. It is actually ricocheting back on people, and there are smart ways around this. The smart way has actually been shown by Rahul. What is the element of brand new Rahul, reinvented Rahul, that actually terrifies the BJP? The answer is that of their top 10 leaders, I don't think even two would be able to walk the distance that Rahul has walked. So, in a sense, this is what we in marketing call creating your moat. He has chosen an activity where he has great strengths, and whether we like it or not, he's been able to also make sure that that brand is not easy for anyone to usurp. Does
Yeah.
he need to therefore launch into diatribe and abuse? The smart answer is that his love phrases actually work as the exact antidote to anything that is being thrust at him.
But
So
how would you react to those who say this is, politics is not a hallmark card, right? And you can't use the language of love and hate. We stand for love, they stand for hate. We'll spread the love, they spread hate. It could also be called cheesy. It could also be
I'm
called
as
cliche.
I'm as cynical as your next citizen, and I don't think he needs to go down this road too far. It's actually quite, it may be what he is, but hey, this is politics, and in politics, the language of, uh, shall I say, uh, enlightened New Age Buddhism is not the most appropriate tool to use.
That's interesting. I want to come to Sandeep. Sanjay, a brief interjection to Sanjay Jha.
Yeah, Barkha, I believe India is extremely polarized. And I think the battle between the BJP and the Congress is going to be for those, and that's a large segment of India's population, which I would call as the swing voter, who is not aligned to the BJP's aggressive Hindutva, and who probably has got disillusioned with the Congress because it hasn't seen the Congress batting on the front foot or really being a champion of the kind of idea of India that one espouses for. So I think if Rahul is able to kind of get that big segment, because the BJP will have around 35 to 40% of the votes at the moment, it could come down as well. The Congress is around 20%. The big battle is going to be, forget the regional players playing their role. If the Congress is able to pull out those voters who have voted BJP but do not buy the Hindutva ideology, and I maintain that majority of the BJP voters, over 20%, are not committed, the kind of bigotry that you hear
So
from the
you
BJP.
so you think this sort of convivial camaraderie, pluralism, today seeking prayers at the temple and duas at the masjid, this could work. Sandeep, others could argue, as Pratap Bhanu Mehta did in his Indian Express op-ed, that we are yet to see a new articulation of secularism for contemporary times from the Congress. He called it the Yatra, a journey in search of a destination, not fully dismissing it, but not fully convinced of its efficacy either. Do you not think that the contradiction that Rahul Gandhi really has to resolve is who he wants to be. Does he want to be philosopher king? Does he want to be a kind of JP of the modern times? Does he want to be prime minister? What does he want to be? Does he want to be leader of the Congress party? We still don't know that at the end or in the middle, 100 days later after this yatra. Sandip.
So you quoted Prathabhanu Mehta, I'd quote Shekhar Gupta. Shekhar Gupta said, what are the three questions? But does Rahul know what he wants? And that's the big question in everybody's mind. The issue is, Barkha, a lot of us also live within echo chambers. We are also getting a lot of caught up between what we hear in these shows like yours and on a Twitter space. Now, I'm not yet sure that how much of this is actually resonating on the ground with a multiplier effect. Okay, I would grant to Aiyshwarya that they are mobilizing people along the way, people are managing, but how much of it is the ripple is reaching rest of the country? I don't have any empirical evidence or a sense to understand that. But, I would not also wish off this whole Pappu tag. Because where Rahul Gandhi, even during this thing, he makes statements which kind of ultimately tells people, oh, he is internally the same guy. And if you find after this 150 days, he again goes and makes similar statements later, BJP will say that, we told you so. What will he do? And I think it suits BJP, even granting Sanjay's point, but though I don't think they are crossing 20% at least today. If Congress comes out as a single opponent rather than this whole bunch of disparate, mostly other regional parties, so they find it much easier to take on Congress, dismantle Congress, and people like 84-year-old, or I don't know what's his age, Mr. Khadge, if he gets in this new Josh, if he makes a couple of those, Moram, Bakri and dog and other statements, they won't help matters. But it's very interesting though, Barkha, I'll end by saying that if it is enthusing people like Aiyshwarya to come in to politics, and if they start re-energizing the party and are given meaningful roles, I think that'll be a good step forward.
Okay, we're seeing live images from the Red Fort, which is where Mr. Gandhi's yatra has culminated in Delhi. And I think Sandip raises the interesting point. Is it going to galvanize young people? Is it going to lift up a demoralized or party cadre? Look at the wipeout that's taken place in Gujarat. Let me take this to Vineeta now. Vineeta, here's my question to you. The BJP spends a lot of time saying the Congress is irrelevant. Yet, Rahul Gandhi is the one sort of brand name, if you will, that every BJP person has an opinion of. On the other hand, the contradiction is that the BJP would much prefer the Congress, I think, as an adversary than an upstart, a newbie, a post-ideological party like the Aam Aadmi Party. This is what I heard a number of BJP people, for example, in Gujarat say. So if Rahul Gandhi doesn't matter, why does the BJP spend so much energy talking about Rahul Gandhi? Vineeta.
So not really, Barkha. I don't think we're spending a lot of time talking about Rahul Gandhi at all. So first of all, I mean, this entire yatra, like what the other speakers have also in a way, kind of affirmed that it's a display of his existential crisis. In the entire last 100 days, if you see, the theme has not been consistent, and sometimes he shifts to economy, sometimes he shifts to now he's talking about nafrat ke bazaar mein mohabbat. So what is the actual theme? And that displays inconsistency in the party line as well. In their complete ideology, and they are going through an existential and an organizational crisis, which is at display in the yatra as well. And and speaking about the economy, and when we see multilateral agencies which have collaborated very well with the UPA government, actually validating that the country is growing, the GDP growth is the fastest, one of the fastest in the world. When the globe is going through recession, how we handle the corona crisis, and all of that is there to see for the public at large. So such yatras, or a leader who's going through an existential crisis, can never be taken seriously by the BJP. And when we talk of a polarized country, what are we talking about? If you look at the recent results in Delhi and Gujarat, It is the in Gujarat, the AAP took away most of the share of the Congress, and even in Delhi, it was BJP versus
Yeah,
AAP.
so let's talk numbers. I think you raised the important point that will the eventual barometer of this yatra lie in numbers. Just before that, we have a statement out from Kamal Hassan. Many people ask me why I'm here. I'm here as an Indian. He said, my father was a congressman. I had various ideologies and started my own political party. But when it comes to the country, all political party lines have to blur. I blurred that line and came here today. Kamal Hassan's statement on why he walked with Rahul Gandhi. Now, Vineeta Hariharan raises the very important point. What do the numbers tell us? After it's all said and done, after it's all done and dusted, is the Gujarat a wipeout a wake up call? Is the Himachal salvation a wake up call? Which way do we look at it? We have recent numbers of a survey by Sea Voter out from November. I just want to caveat this is from November. We don't have an updated number yet. And it tells you something very interesting. It tells you that Rahul Gandhi's image has certainly improved somewhat after this yatra, but not to the levels that it stood at before 2019. It kind of crashed after 2019, and it really has repaired itself from that. So there has been a kind of repairing process, according to a survey taken in November by Sea Voter. But when it comes to personal popularity in terms of perception vis-a-vis the prime minister, look at those numbers. The prime minister's popularity, at least as of November, has actually increased marginally ever since this yatra started. And when you juxtapose that with Rahul Gandhi, you will see somewhat of an increase, but certainly not enough for Mr. Gandhi to be a kind of national challenger to the prime minister. Aiyshwarya, I want to get you in here. Is the barometer electoral in the end? Who is Rahul Gandhi as a politician? We still remember when he took over as vice president of the party, he famously called power poison. Someone who thinks power is poison arguably cannot lead the party towards power.
You know, Barkha, call me emotional, but I think I differ a little from what Mr. Cherian said, because I grew up in a state and in a community that was multicultural, that was diverse, and over the years, I think all of us have desensitized ourselves so much that we allow for the open vilification of communities or identities entirely, so much so that we shy away from even talking about being secular or talking about being united and being one as a country. For me, it is something that touches me. It may not make for great optics, it may seem cheesy, as you would say, but when Mr. Rahul Gandhi talks about love and defeating this politics of hate, that is the ground reality. Today, there is an us versus them, whether you like it or not. There is this victimhood of a particular community foisted upon them while the vilification of another continues. And it is only like what Mr. Niemoller said, after they're done with one community, they'll go after the other. And today, you cannot take away from the fact that politics is the most largely emotive sort of exercise in the country. Democracy as a whole survives because we have the emotion to care enough. For the people that are the bigots and the Hindutva, people that are, support the rapists of Bilkis Bano, you have other people like Mr. Kamal Hassan today and other activists and so many other people who've joined the yatra that stand not for a political agenda or rather a political benefit out of this, rather the idea that this country needs to be the way that it was. Again, sorry if I'm being emotional, but when we did get independence and freedom, the ideals then could have been called corny and cheesy, right? And this is not a barometer of electoral performance. I think that's been made extremely clear. At the end of the day, this is to traverse the length and breadth of the country to understand what is happening to the most marginalized, the most disenfranchised, and the BJP media may not see it. The BJP and a whole bunch of people may not show it, but I have seen it on the ground. I have seen the way it's going forward. More
So
youngsters
clearly-
are coming out, and I'm very impassioned about this because electorally or not, you can say fine, Gujarat did not go well, Himachal end of the day did. The election was not run on the yatra, rather it was run on the issues that you saw. You're talking 2002 instead of talking about progress and development. You're talking how you're going to obviously further other communities as an election agenda, and the fact that people co-opt into this is what is so damaging. So when Rahul Gandhi says love, I am perfectly okay with that.
So you're okay with that idea. You don't find it cheesy. You find it compelling. I get that. Let me bring in Sanjay. I need to start wrapping. And before I come to Dilip and Sandip, Sanjay, you didn't talk about the party change within the party, right? Morale is one thing, the kind of emotion you're seeing from Aiyshwarya is one thing, but what happens to creating a genuine democratic environment within the party? Why is the Shashi Tharoor today marginalized? Why is the Sachin Pilot still struggling for clarity as to what will happen to him? A number of the factional battles remain unresolved. Those who have left the Congress continue to say to get access to Rahul Gandhi was very difficult, whether it was a Jaiveer Shergill or anybody else. This is what you routinely hear from congressmen. What happens to all of those issues, Sanjay Jha?
Well, Barkha, I mean, there is no denying that the Congress party cannot say that procrastination in taking tough political decisions can be a strategy. It is not. And therefore, the issues of Sachin, etc., need to be resolved. You can't have a gridlock moving forever. So that's something that I think hopefully you will see a solution to, because the Congress must convert the Bharat Jodo Yatra into a great electoral performance. There are two quick points I wish to make. Just imagine hypothetically for a moment, if Narendra Modi and Amit Shah were doing a Bharat Jodo Yatra. I don't think physically they would be capable of doing it, but assuming they were doing that, can
I
you
mean, the Prime
imagine?
Minister's fitness has been quite well established.
Well, anyway, I may be a skeptic
Hmm.
here. The truth is that if they were doing it, can you imagine the daily mainstream media coverage? I think if Rahul Gandhi, despite the neglect of the mainstream media, has managed to kind of mobilize people, I have been in politics long enough to tell you, and I'm sorry to disappoint Vineeta here, that you cannot get only your cadres to come in these numbers. It's impossible. This has definitely got a spontaneous traction. Let's not even dodge that. The truth
Okay.
is there is a ground impact. Now, there are 2 points I would like to make which are political here. Himachal, Narendra Modi campaigned, and you can play those bites if you have them, saying, vote for me. He said, vote for me. And Himachal rejected him. And I think let's try and get a little deeper into it. I believe Karnataka could be a bellwether for which way the country heads and what is the real ramification or the positive repercussion of the Bharat Jodo Yatra for the Congress. Mr. Kharge comes from Karnataka. I think there is a strong anti-incumbency. And if Aiyshwarya, Mahadev and the team do not do a Punjab in Karnataka, I'm expecting the Congress to romp home. And I think that is the kind of tailwind that the Congress needs. And end of day, Barkha, let me tell you, there are no permanent winners or losers in politics. I think Narendra Modi knows that, which is why he campaigned aggressively in Gujarat. I'm glad the BJP doesn't take any election casually. It's about time Congress demonstrated a hunger to win, because I believe the
Okay.
BJP is extremely beatable.
I must allow Vineeta a brief interjection before I go to Sandip and then give Dilip the last word. Vineeta Hariharan, do go ahead.
Yeah, so this yatra, is it a proof of the prowess of walking? So I don't think that is any kind of it is not it's not symbolic of your political prowess in any way. And as far as Barkha, you've also said, the Prime Minister's health and his fitness regime and the kind of fitness regime that he's triggered across the country through yoga and all of these is kind of it's accepted across the globe. So I think if this is a fitness regime kind of display, then probably Rahul Gandhi might get some winning points on this. Beyond that, I don't think there's anything that the Bharat Yatra can even serve, and I think it is not even worthy of discussion as to what the Yatra can actually bring for the Congress, or maybe for the Congress party, or for Rahul Gandhi and his family perhaps, but not for the country and not for the interest of the nation.
Okay, before I give closing quick comments to Sandeep and to Dilip, let's go live to the Red Fort where Rahul Gandhi is speaking. We'll just dip in for a minute or so. The rest of the speech you can hear on the Mojo Story platform later. Let's just listen in. Is the sound up on this? Okay.
खारगे जी, कमल हसन जी, वेणुगोपाल जी, शक्ति सिंह गोहिल जी, अनिल जी, स्टेज पे कांग्रेस पार्टी के सीनियर नेता, हमारे प्यारे कार्यकर्ता, भाइयों और बहनों, प्रेस के हमारे मित्रों, आप सबका यहां बहुत बहुत स्वागत, नमस्कार। आपने इतना समर्थन इस यात्रा को दिया, इतनी मदद की, इतनी शक्ति आपने हमें दी, इसके लिए मैं सबसे धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं, दिल से धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं। इस यात्रा का लक्ष्य भारत को जोड़ने का है। जब हमने ये शुरू किया कन्याकुमारी में यात्रा शुरू की, तो मैं सोच रहा था कि नफरत को मिटाने की जरूरत है, और मेरे दिमाग में था कि इस देश में सब जगह नफरत फैली हुई है। मगर जब मैंने चलना शुरू किया तो सच्चाई बिल्कुल अलग थी। मैंने मीडिया के बारे में कहा, शुरुआत में कहा कि हमारे दोस्त हैं, दोस्त हैं, मगर हमारी बात टीवी पे कभी नहीं दिखाते हैं। और वो तो तब भी ठीक है, वो ठीक है, हमारी बात नहीं उठाएं तो ठीक है, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। मगर ये एक और काम करते हैं, इनकी गलती नहीं है। देखिए, ये जो यहां खड़े हैं, इनसे गुस्सा मत होइए, इनकी गलती नहीं है। देखिए, मुस्कुरा रहे हैं, ये जानते हैं लगाम लगी हुई है, पीछे से लगाम लगी हुई है। मगर इनके जो चैनल हैं, ये भी नया काम करते हैं। 24 घंटा हिंदू मुस्लिम, हिंदू मुस्लिम, हिंदू मुस्लिम, हिंदू मुस्लिम, हिंदू मुस्लिम।
Okay, opening remarks there targeting the media channels, editors, promoters, quite intriguing. The rest of the speech can be picked up on the platform. It's still carrying on live. Sandeep, thoughts before we close with Dilip?
Two or three quick ones. First of all, you played this. I think this is where the rhetoric is going wrong. Constantly, first of all, Rahul Gandhi always says that I'm okay, everybody is not okay, and blaming it on, had it not been for the media, I would have been the Prime Minister today. I think that's the mindset he has to get out of. Because unless he gets out of that, I think he's playing a false victim card. Now, secondly, irrespective of whether it's right or wrong, Narendra Modi could say for 10 years he was vilified by everybody, the liberal media, international media, and people, but he rose above that and did whatever he had to. And Rahul Gandhi cannot carry on saying that. That's my personal opinion. Secondly, this whole fitness point, I think, is quite ridiculous. Narendra Modi is, irrespective of this yoga and anything you try to justify, Narendra Modi is 72. If somebody else was 72, compared with Sonia Gandhi walking with Narendra Modi, what Narendra Modi has done till 52 before he became a prime minister, or 62, in a day as a karyakarta or a pracharak, I don't think Rahul Gandhi would have done it in his life before that kind of hard work, etc. So that's a very irrelevant comparison.
Okay.
You talk of Himachal. We are making it as if BJP was trounced. BJP was not trounced. It's like saying that in Bengal, they got the highest ever seats and came there, and you still say they were trounced. So what about what happened in, whether in Gujarat or in Delhi municipality? Actually, Himachal is not even the size of 1/3 of Delhi municipality for those who care, and is smaller than the Ahmedabad municipality. But even there, how narrow. So these are, I don't think, really relevant points to compare with. And coming back to Karnataka, I wish Aiyshwarya all good luck. But I think if she wins and Congress wins, it would be despite Bharat Jodo Yatra. Even if you didn't do Bharat Jodo Yatra, the result of Karnataka would be exactly
Okay.
the same. You can always attribute it to Bharat Jodo Yatra, but
It's
they would have won it. So
okay.
these are points we are trying, drawing everything to credit Rahul Gandhi, and that'll be the problem. You're
Well, let
giving him.
me. You're giving him too much credit, is basically what you're saying. But he continues to speak live at the Red Fort. I want to give Dilip the last word. As I said, an intriguing beginning with the targeting of channels that he says not just black out the Congress and the Congress's news, but are hate mongers. He's actively called these channels hate mongers. It's an intriguing sort of framing of what will be a very closely watched speech. It kind of compels or almost dares the channels, and I'm pretty sure everybody is telecasting him and not blacking him out. I don't know. Dilip, last thoughts.
I think I'm, as somebody who's been part of the media and works with the media in my daily life, I think targeting the media is a foolish exercise. Blaming them for spreading hate is valid, but is this the main message that he should be giving? He should be giving a message about being in Delhi and what it means, and how the messages of Bharat Jodo have been picked up along the way. It's not about fitness, as I can see a lot of pushback on that idea. It is about the fact that Rahul Gandhi is picking up the nuances of a brand building exercise. And that brand building exercise is something which has to appeal to a new young audience. It doesn't matter so much whether you've sidelined Tharoor or not. I don't think that is germane. If you're getting young people with energy, Aiyshwarya and many others like her, into
Yeah.
the party, and you're making the party change from within, even with an 84-year-old as the president, that would be what Rahul Gandhi's singular achievement at the end of this yatra will be. If he has found those people, if those people have found solace and support in him, that is really going to be the test case, and that is the test bed he should be walking on for the rest
Okay.
of his journey.
Okay, I have to close. Sanjay Jha, you had a brief closing comment. The point being made by Dilip that everything else is well, but it isn't particularly smart to target the media and to open your Delhi speech with that. Very quickly, Sanjay, if you have a point.
Yeah, Barkha, I think truth hurts.
Hmm.
Rahul is doing what I think, in my opinion, is the kind of conversation we need to have in India. Now, you are part of media and I go on television shows very often. Let's bite the bullet. If there was no support for Narendra Modi on mainstream media the way it's become, I think Mr. Modi's government would have been on its knees. It's a fact. And let's not
I
deny
mean,
it. I mean,
that's
there is
that's
enough
totally
established.
discrediting. That's totally
No,
discrediting the choice of the voter in an open democracy.
well, let me tell you, the media is a very critical player in terms of public and political influence. Let's not deny that. And I think what Rahul is saying today is to the people of this country. I think his messaging is very smart. He's telling the people of the country that whatever you're hearing on mainstream media, discount it because it is playing a game of the current government. So I think you know what he should do? He needs to do a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He can malign the media, but he also needs to woo it and
I I
engage with
I
them.
I
That's
I
what I would do.
I think everybody's wanting to come in for a last comment, so I'll allow Vineeta and Aiyshwarya both. Vineeta.
So Bharat Jodo is just about a brand that's struggling to rebuild. I think that's my last line on that. Yeah.
Okay, Aiyshwarya.
As much as they'd like to ignore him, they definitely cannot, because they seem to be extremely bothered by Mr. Rahul Gandhi. What he says is the uncomfortable truth that we need to acknowledge at some point. And going forward, I'm very sure Bharat Jodo and the Congress cadre is going to be further stronger than ever before. And I'm extremely sure of that. Thank you. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was just going to say, at least someone's pet is very excited and keen to have the last word, and that's yours, Aishwarya.
All of my dogs, I'm sorry.
That's okay. No problem at all. Pets are welcome. This is a pet friendly platform. Thank you so much, Aishwarya, Vineeta, Sandip, Dilip, Sanjay Jha. The jury remains out, but here's the important point there's a debate. And initially, people weren't even willing to debate what Rahul Gandhi was doing. He was dismissed. That in itself, I think, is a shift. It's a tangible shift. There's a serious debate happening around the Yatra, what is it achieved, what it hasn't. And of course, elections will be the ultimate test. That will be the bottom line. But till then, I think, as everybody has said on the show, the fact that there is a greater amount of seriousness attached to the debates around Rahul Gandhi marks a shift. To what extent that shift can travel, that jury remains out. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas. Have a great weekend. Thanks for watching.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.